Yeah, the Super Bowl is about to happen. My team obviously didn't make it. This season was so bad that John Harbaugh got fired, like a bunch of us wanted. His coaching was getting stale for us, and we've been on a decline for a couple of years. So now John Harbaugh is now the New York Giants' problem. He's their new head coach. But let's get back to the Ravens and who we hired and see what changes have been made in this offseason so far. Off the bat, we got to talk about John Harbaugh's replacement, Jesse Minter, former defensive coordinator of the LA Chargers. This man has worked with both John and Jim. He worked with Mike McDonald when he was our defensive coordinator. A lot of folks didn't want him because he was off the Harbaugh tree, but guess what? Mike McDonald was also off the Harbaugh tree, and he's in the Super Bowl right now. So I'm excited to see what he can do. He's younger. He's got a little bit more of a adaptable coaching style as far as I've seen off of the Chargers defense, and he's been pretty good. So let's see what moves he's been making during the offseason so far. Now here's a hire that I didn't see coming. Tom Monken is no longer our offensive coordinator. He is now the head coach of the Cleveland Browns. And the cool thing about this is he's worked with Shedeur Sanders before. And he got Lamar Jackson a second MVP. I'm excited to see what he's going to do with Shedeur Sanders now that we're going to be playing against him twice a year. I will say this for the Cleveland Browns. He's not going to fix all your problems, but at least you'll have a head coach that's not working against Shedeur. Now let's move on to who is our new offensive coordinator. Meet Declan Doyle. This man helped Ben Johnson get the Chicago Bears out the basement. Chicago Bears were one of the worst teams in the league previously, and now they got to sniff as close to the NFC Championship as they possibly could. So I am curious to see how he's going to work out for the Ravens, because he's the same age as Lamar Jackson. And I did see a lot of people complain that he was too young, but Sean Payton was 28 when he first started. And he's done very, very well. And Declan Doyle is off that Sean Payton tree and the Ben Johnson tree. So let's see what he does. And back on the defensive side of the ball, we swiped Mike Mickens from Notre Dame University. Now, there are a lot of Notre Dame fans that are upset that we took him from y'all, but it is what it is. This man's a former player who turned coach and ended up being really good at his job. So let's see what he can do on the NFL level. Back on the offensive side of the ball, Dwayne Leffert is our new offensive line coach. This man used to be on the Atlanta Falcons. He had their O-line looking right. Hopefully he can get the Ravens O-line looking right. And we can make some changes and get it together, because our O-line was abysmal this year. Lamar got hurt because folks wasn't doing right on that O-line, and it been neglected for so long. So hopefully Jesse Minter and EDC can get our O-line looking a lot better, and we can get rid of some of the dead weight. But yeah. Now, there hasn't been any news yet on who the Ravens are going to hire for our defensive coordinator, but one person who I would like to see get hired is Chuck Pagano. He's been on our defensive staff before. He's been a defensive coordinator. He's been a head coach, and he's also older. So I'm hoping that he can use his experience from being with the Ravens and other teams to kind of mentor some of the younger coaching staff that we got coming in, and hopefully we can get our defense looking right, because they were abysmal this year. Zach Orr was not it. A lot of the problems and breakdowns on our defense was because he did not communicate and nobody knew what the heck was going on. So if they hire Chuck Pagano for our defensive coordinator, I'm going to be happy with that pick. Now, my second pick for defensive coordinator is going to have a lot of y'all scratching your heads. But I think the Ravens got the opportunity to do the funniest thing right now. And that would be to hire Sean McDermott as our defensive coordinator, former head coach of the Buffalo Bills. The ownership of the Bills did him dirty and threw him under the bus. And we're seeing right now that that man's coaching covered up a lot of incompetence higher up on the Bills in their organization. So yeah, I think if we allowed Sean McDermott to be our defensive coordinator for all of the reasons that Chuck Pagano could be our defensive coordinator, only Sean McDermott would go on a revenge tour against the Buffalo Bills for how they did him dirty. But yeah, that's my pick so far for a defensive coordinator. I did have a couple of other picks for offensive coordinator. The guy that used to be the Chiefs offensive coordinator, and they got rid of him because he was too strict or whatever. But the Chiefs took him back, but he would have been nice to have as our offensive coordinator. I'm drawing a blank for his name is. I know the name, but I can't get it. It's at the tip of my tongue. But y'all know who I'm talking about. But he was my pick for an offensive coordinator. But we'll see what we can do with what we got. And I'm going to keep y'all posted for more hires and firings in the Ravens coaching staff.